Hello and welcome to Benefits Weekly. All right, our topic this week is a fun one because Eric, you kind of blew my mind a little bit. If folks will recall, last week we talked about dependent care accounts and how they've gotten way better with the 50% increase in the amount of money that employees can put into them going into 2026. As we were talking about that, Eric, you mentioned that flexible spending accounts and even dependent care accounts are one of these cool benefits where they can actually end up paying for themselves from the employer's standpoint. And you kind of blew my mind because I had never thought of it framed that way. So I want to kind of throw it at you and say, help me understand what we're talking about here.
Yeah, Kyle, it's funny. We actually got a couple of emails during the week as well from people saying, explain this. So we thought it would be a good topic to follow up on. So basically with a dependent care account, which was the topic of last week's session, as well as flexible spending accounts, any amount that is contributed by the employees to those accounts, the employer does not have to do their matching FICA contributions. That's the Social Security and Medicare contributions. And together, that's a 7.65% savings on any amount the employees put into the account. And what we're going to see here in just a moment, because we've got a couple of examples here, is that savings really adds up. And so while these accounts do have administrative fees, you need to work with a third-party administrator to get them set up. The fact is that those administrative fees are small in comparison to what the tax savings ends up being.
Okay, I just want to play that back to you to make sure I get it. So
Mhm.
it's like, hey, if you're an employer and you put one of these in place, we always recommend work with a qualified TPA
Mhm.
so that you're not introducing yourself to potential HIPAA or compliance risk. But that's going to cost you a little bit of money. However, you're going to save money on taxes if employees utilize these. And so the thing nets out to a break even or even potentially, I guess, money savings for the employer, which is crazy. I've never thought of it framed that way.
Yeah, at a
Um,
time when health insurance premiums are going up so much, if there's a way for an employer to add a popular benefit and save money at the same time, that really is a win-win.
yeah, no. So I think we're going to walk through some math. You want to jump into that, Eric?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically what we did is we went to a local third-party administrator to get a quote on FSA administrative services. And basically, we're going to start off by showing an example for either a very small employer or an employer that doesn't end up with a lot of participation. So basically, this administrator charges a $125 setup fee to get everything going, get the documents prepared. After that, it's $125 a year to refresh the documents and so forth. So $125 annual fee. And then there's a per employee fee, but there's a minimum monthly billing of $75. If you don't have, I think it's 17 or more employees participate, it just reverts to $75. 75 times 12 is 900. Throw in the extra 125. It's basically 1,025 a year. That's the administrative cost for the FSA. And I know, some employers might look at that and say, well, if only a handful of employees participate, why would we want to spend $1,000 or more per year? The reason is because, again, the tax savings adds up pretty quickly. So to find the break even point, basically, how much would employees need to contribute to the FSA in order for the employer or the plan to pay for itself? You basically take the uh, total admin fee for the year of 1,025 and divide it by the tax rate or the FICA tax savings, which is 7.65% or 0.0765. And that comes up to a break even of $13,400. So regardless of how many employees participate, if the total contributions equal 13,400 or more, the plan is paying for itself. And basically, if you do the math on this, $3,400 is the maximum contribution for 2026. So if only 4 employees max out their FSA, then anything above that is not just a break even, but it's actually a savings for the employer. So the employer actually profits off of offering the plan. Put another way, we talked last week about how the dependent care account contribution maximum for 2026 is going up to $7,500 per employee. So if just two employees maxed out their dependent care account, the plan again would pay for itself. And the interesting thing there is, childcare expenses are so much that most people that do participate in the dependent care account do end up maxing out their account. So 7,500 is nice, but their childcare expenses are even more than that. So it's pretty easy for them to predict, that they're going to spend that amount and they're not going to leave anything on the table.
And just reacting to this, Eric, I mean, this is highly likely scenario. We're not showing folks something that seems outside the norm. And perhaps, for those following along at home, Eric, you went out and got a real quote from a third-party administrator. That's how you came up with the $1,025. So again, for those following at home, what you're going to want to do for your clients, if you're running a similar analysis, is just replace that $1,025 with whatever quote you might be getting. That's kind of our X or our plug variable. And then you're always going to divide that total administrative fee by the 0.0765 to come up with your own contribution break even.
And a really important point here is on this quote, that 1,025 included both the FSA and the dependent care account. So there's not an additional cost for offering the dependent care account. You just have to do it. Just talk about it, with the employees and give them that option. And one other, I guess, savings that needs to be factored in here is, and I think most administrators would do it this way, the cost of the FSA also includes the premium only plan, which allows employees to pay their share of the premiums for themselves and their dependents on a tax-free basis. That also adds up, pretty quickly as tax savings for the employer. And it also includes the required non-discrimination testing to make sure the plan is not benefiting highly comped employees more than lower compensated employees. Together, that premium only plan and non-discrimination testing would normally, at least through this administrator, run $350 a year. So that's $350 also that the employer is not having to pay since it's incorporated into the FSA cost.
Wow. So it's not only are you netting out maybe ahead as the employer when it comes to the tax savings, you're also getting these other, in this case, freebies thrown in that are important for you to run a group benefits program.
Definitely.
Well, I know you've got another example. Why don't we take a look at that one?
Yeah, because we wanted to start off by showing this is a good plan for almost any employer. I mean, husband and wife group, it's not going to work because owners cannot participate in an FSA. But for any company that has a handful of employees, if just a few participate, we were showing the break even for that. With this administrator, once you get above, I think it's 16 employees, then instead of a minimum $75 monthly fee, it's just $450 per month per employee. So the cost would be a little bit higher if 20 employees are participating, for example. What you would do is you take the $125 annual fee and then add the $450 per month per employee times the 20 employees. And so the annual administrative fee is $1,205. Not that much more than the other example we were looking at, but here we have 20 participants. So in order for the plan to pay for itself, the break-even contribution amount, we take the $1,205 admin cost, divide it by the tax rate of 7.65%, and it comes out to $15,765. So as long as employees, those 20 employees participating between the FSA and the dependent care account, contribute at least $15,700, then the plan does pay for itself. So instead of saying, what if they max it out? I wanted to see what the minimum is. And basically, if those 20 employees contribute just $788 each and remember, the FSA can be used for their expenses and their spouse's expenses and their dependent children's expenses, whether they're on the health plan or not. So most families are going to have more than $788 in eligible expenses, which includes things like, doctor visits, prescriptions, dental care, vision care, and even over-the-counter drugs and medical supplies. $788 is not a lot. If each employee contributes just that amount, or $66 per month, then the plan breaks even. Wanted to take it one step further and say, well, what if they contribute more? What if those 20 employees contribute $2,000 each, which is just a little over half of what they can contribute? In that case, not only does the plan pay for itself, but the employer actually profits an additional $1,855 because of the tax savings. Again, the point I made earlier, health insurance is getting more expensive. Employers have had to cut benefits as a result. So putting in what is a very popular benefit at basically no charge and actually seeing some upside to it kind of makes it a no-brainer for a lot of companies, I think.
Well, this is fantastic, Eric. I gotta say, you learn something new every day, but I think one of the interesting things about this is just the interplay between tax law and benefits. It comes up in so many ways, sometimes unexpected ways. And I think I've just never even thought about framing it in this manner around, yeah, sure, you've got some admin fees, but remember the tax savings, it's going to pay for itself. So, we see
Yeah.
other areas and benefits where this can happen too. But I would say if you're an advisor out there or you work in HR, helping your CFO, your CEO, your business owner understand these dynamics can be a really powerful breakthrough and make it a no-brainer for you to introduce some additional employee-friendly benefits. So keep these types of points in your back pocket. Find a great TPA you can work with at a reasonable price. And as we say, this popular benefit will pay for itself. That's where we're going to leave things this week. Thanks for joining us on Benefits Weekly. If you found it helpful, the best thing you can do is share it with a friend. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.